You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We have a couple of chefs in the building this morning. Of course, I'm Chef Envy. That's Chef Yee. And we have Chefs JJ Johnson and Alexander Smalls. Welcome, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Now, before we start, can we try some of this chicken just because, you know?
So, I don't know. This is something special. It's in a palm sugar brine with some cinnamon, fried with some rice flour. So it is slightly on the healthy side.
Oh.
And then dusted with some chili oil and a little bit of cinnamon powder.
Now, let's talk about this cookbook. And it's more than just a cookbook, but Between Harlem and Heaven. And in this book, you state how the South is, Harlem is really like the South.
Oh, it's a big southern town. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean Harlem's like the South?
Well, okay. We're there. African Americans are the foundation of Harlem.
It's good, boy.
And we are carrying on. You know, it's like a southern town. I'm from South Carolina, so.
Oh, what part?
Well, my family's originally from Charleston.
Okay.
I grew up in Spartanburg, spent my summers in Charleston. I brought a concept called low country cooking to New York 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then I made my way to Harlem because I felt that's where I needed to be.
That's where the black people are.
Well,
I mean, my
the
grandmother
culture.
grew up there too, right? She's from North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My grandfather's from Mississippi, so they were
and
there.
Then the Caribbean.
And then the Caribbean, right.
But I mean, it's the hallmark for African American culture and African diaspora.
So you know Charlamagne, because he's from South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. We were hanging out maybe a couple of months ago at a party for the new African American Museum in Charleston.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. We're doing it.
It is delicious, by the way. Just pardon me while you guys talk.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. So how did you get into cooking?
You know, grew up in the South. You know, you got up from one meal thinking about the next. Mm-hmm. I mean, essentially, in a small town in the South, what else are you going to do but plan your life around three incredible things that happen each day?
I grew up with my Puerto Rican grandmother in the kitchen. I didn't watch cartoons. I peeled carrots and onions. She was listening to loud salsa music. It was a thing. It was in my blood and my soul. And I told my mom at a young age I was going to be a chef. She kind of laughed and told me to be a politician or a teacher. But I kind of grew in that moment, and now I could basically go back and say to the culture, you have somebody that looks like you that is representing who we are, and there's a platform for young black chefs in America today.
Now, but you're also kind of a teacher and politician. You negotiate. Yeah. I mean, one of the things we did when we came to Harlem is that we wanted to make sure that we were empowering the community. And we had a strong initiative to train people from the neighborhood.
That's great. Both
in front of the house and back of the house. And, you know, it's about giving back and being a part of the fabric of Harlem, especially now that it's changing so much. So we brought those roots, our southern roots, our African diaspora, and we put them in Harlem, and we put them in this book.
Now, how do we continue to eat healthier? Because, you know, the thing with food tastes amazing, it looks amazing. But
well,
a lot
not
of
all
times
of it. Let's be clear.
It's unhealthy, you know, especially for our community with diabetes and overweight. You know, you see that a lot, especially in the South. My mom's originally from Virginia, and my family members, some of them are overweight because we eat. So how do we make it where we make it a little healthier so, you know, we can watch our weight and not worry about diabetes and salt and high blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera?
I think, I mean, if you go to the book, like if you're from the South or you're an African American, your biggest thing is braised collard greens, right? But in the cookbook, we're doing collard green salad. So just some fresh, you know, chiffonade, cut thin collard greens with a beautiful dressing and some cucumbers and azuki red beans. And that could be your healthy point of transitioning from the braised collard greens, stewed collard greens that you've been stewing for 4 or 5 hours to this quick, easy salad. But I also think the foundation of a lot of the ingredients that we eat or our family has eaten can be just changed slightly. We don't have to change the diet much.
Well, we also have to get back to where we come from, which is farming, agriculture. I mean, we eat too many canned goods and processed food.
Right.
We have to go back to the garden. Now, I grew up in the garden. So the whole idea of the food we ate was many times the food my grandfather grew. This is what we're missing. Everything is processed. Everything is convenience, you know, a high concentrated fat, quick service food. And then the next thing we have to do is portion control. You just can't sit and eat everything until it's gone.
Now, being in New York, how hard is it to find a garden? Or to even have one?
Wow, you throwing a curveball.
It's called Whole Food.
Okay, because I know I've seen some initiatives they've been doing in Harlem where they're actually putting small gardens inside of the communities
Oh,
to
yes.
teach people about nutrition and about eating healthier.
You see chickens running around.
And you
Harlem?
have rooftop
Not chickens,
gardens.
but I'm talking about gardens
But you
with
know, they're
vegetables.
doing rooftop gardens
Right.
for various places. But I mean, realistically, people are not going to the garden. You know that.
Right.
Go to, the store and get fresh ingredients.
Does organic matter?
It kind
yeah.
of matters, but I mean, I'm not a big organic person. I think the market, it goes back to the government. Like, certified organic is ran by the government.
What does that even mean?
Right, what does that really mean? But I think it's all about the farmers. Thank you. I think it's all about knowing where your food comes from. Like going to your local butcher shop, being able to go to like a Whole Foods, or you might find, like for where I live on 110th Street in Central Park West, there is the farmers market there on Saturdays.
Right.
So there are some
Pop-up
connections that you can connect and know the people who you're buying your food from that can help you change your diet, going back to what Envy was talking about.
I
Now, how
mean,
did
we
you-
have the internet now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally find out where the local grocer on your corner is getting their food. You know, we have to get involved with what we do and what we get involved with everything else. So you need to do the research and know where your food is coming from, and make intelligent decisions.
Now, you
A lot of
opera-
people think that being healthy is more expensive too.
It is.
They have that. I think
that's
it's a
the-
misconception.
Whole Foods is expensive as a mother.
Whole Foods is expensive.
But that also is a concept, I mean, bottom line is that you, in any given situation, you're sort of at the disposal of society and what they bring, what they put on your corner, etc. But you can buy fresh greens. You can buy fresh vegetables. You can, whether they're organic or not. That becomes a different kind of particular stuff.
Now, how did you two hook up with each other?
I found him.
And do you sing while you cook?
Yeah.
Yeah, you an opera singer.
I was.
Really?
Well, I guess
I
I
can
still
hear it all
am.
in your voice. I
After a
can hear
little
it.
bourbon,
After a little bourbon.
After a little bourbon, now just
think we
fall up
have
in there.
some.
You got some? No, we met. I had 3 restaurants prior to the last 2 in Harlem, Cafe Beulah and Shoebox Cafe, Sweet Ophelia were my first 3. I took a 10-year hiatus from the restaurant business, still involved in the cooking.
Why? Why'd you do that?
Why? Because after I closed my 3rd restaurant, I needed some time for Alexander. And it's just transition.
Did you just talk
In third person? Yes.
Talk himself in third person?
Well, have you
gotta
met
do that.
Alexander?
Okay.
So I took some time, and when my business partner Richard Parsons and I and his wife decided we were going to do these restaurants in Harlem, because Dick Parsons is also head of the Apollo, chairman of the board, and very much involved with the empowerment zone and various things in Harlem. We wanted to really be in that community. I felt like with the first 3 restaurants I had done, I didn't say enough about who we were as African Americans and African people. So I had been studying for 25 years this concept of Afro-Asian American cooking, and I mean, it took me a while to figure out what to call it, but essentially it was the forced migration of African slaves throughout the world, their contributions through agriculture and cooking. And I wanted to really highlight that and create a flavor profile and a vocabulary. And I went looking for chefs. I went looking for people to build a team. That's how I found JJ. I just so happened in all of my research, I came across a video of him doing a show that he won. And he spoke to me. He reminded me of my dad, and he made the dish my father always made for special occasions.
Which was what?
Shrimp and grits.
Shrimp and grits. Okay.
Good old Charleston smothered shrimp and grits. That's what he made. And I looked at this guy and I said, "This is a fighter. This is a winner. This is a thoroughbred. I need him on my team." I found his information. We met for breakfast.
And
Who
JJ, what's sealed the deal for you?
Who cooked when y'all met for breakfast? I'm just curious.
The kitchenette.
The kitchenette.
The restaurant.
For that moment in my life, I was searching just to like helm the kitchen somewhere, like somebody to give me a platform and a voice. And nobody in the culinary industry was giving me an opportunity. It was always like, you're just good enough for this. And when I met Alexander, I looked at it, and I was talking to him, and it was like, oh, wow, this could be a real opportunity for me, that I could really have a voice in the culinary world. And he was talking Afro-Asian cooking. I had no clue what this was. And it just happened that in 2011, he was like, do you want to go to Ghana with me in West Africa and cook? So we went to Ghana, and that was that
his
moment.
audition.
That was my audition.
That was your audition?
Yeah. And when I went to Ghana and started cooking, that was this moment of, oh, now I know who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. And this is the food of who I am. And that's how it really just started. And Alexander gave me that platform. And that's why I always go back and say, like, now we have this book out and people can look and say, well, I could be like this. This is what I can do.
Gotcha.
Because it's just like here, like you guys have the platform here for the voice of your culture, of the music culture. We have the voice of the culture of culinary culture.
Right.
How hard is the restaurant business?
Oh, yeah, we all
Well,
know.
I've had 5 of them. Okay. You know? And when I started, I did not have all this white hair.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it seems, I don't want to say, but it seems like it's if you have good food, the people will come.
That's
Well,
not
it's
true,
more
though.
than that, though.
Right.
I mean, interestingly enough, the restaurant business, I've been in it long enough to watch it change a few times. You know, the restaurants feed you, but they also create ambiance and landscape and a social gathering.
Right.
They have to deliver a story. People don't just want to eat anymore.
Right.
You know, if the food is exceptional, that makes it all the better. You know, but it's other things behind the scene. It's management. It's people and managing people. It's
Consistency
relationship.
too. Sometimes
Consistency
there's
is
a different
major.
chef, and you're like, this food tastes completely different
Right.
than when I ordered this dish before. Sometimes the host can be rude, and you can say, I'm never coming back there again, because
Oh,
I
we
was
have all of
telling
that.
you guys that happened to me before. I went to a restaurant I always go to. The host was super rude, so I left, and I was like, even though I used to go there so much, I'm not going there ever again. And there's so many different things that you have to take into account. And I also think it's also marketing yourself, because like you said, you weren't really saying who you were when you opened your first restaurant. And it is important for people. I think I'm more apt to go someplace if I like, okay, I read about the owner, I like their story, I like what they represent, I like that they're in my community, and that'll make me want to go out and support, you know, rather than not having that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I left Cecil and Minton's in June of this year, I'm out on my own now. I was the first chef in residence at a place called Chef Club here on Mulberry Street. And for me, it was about bringing full circle. How can you get people to dine, not just about food and service? So my whole thing was about music. So I curated a playlist that was on 90s hip hop and R&B. I felt like it's super nostalgic. I call it happy music. It brings you back to some place in time. And the number one thing talked about before people would leave or they were staying was, oh, where can I get your playlist? Can you play that song back? I'm like, it's 75 hours worth of music, and it just happened to be like some of my favorite songs. And that really kept people coming or staying longer in the restaurant.
Gotcha.
Right,
So
because
it
music
is-
can kill the mood, too.
Right.
But that's the
And
whole
then it can
concept of
also make
creating a
you want to
story.
come.
I mean, you really do have to, when they say set the table, you set the table and you create an ambiance for people. Because what people remember, even if they forget everything they ate, they remember how you made them feel.
Right.
They remember what they associate with that experience, and that's what brings them back.
What do you guys think of? Are y'all familiar with Salt Bay?
Yeah, we're familiar with Salt Bay.
Salt
They're
Bay.
making him wear a glove now.
They're making him wear gloves. What do you think about his way of doing it? Because I was kind of curious when I see it, because his hand is touching the meat, and
Envy got fed some meat the other day.
I did.
That's why he's bringing it up.
he's dropping salt off his elbow. You know, how do you feel about that as far as being sanitary?
Well, sanitary. Well, certainly it's theatrical. Sanitary, I mean, it doesn't meet the guidelines of what the government has said sanitary is. So there it is.
But on the retrospect of like how food is, like we love open kitchens, right? We love to sit at the counter now. Everybody wants to see how the chef is cooking or the cooks are cooking. So food is entertainment now. It's like the biggest entertainment. We see it on commercials. We see it everywhere. So I think nobody's thinking about sanitation when they're thinking about Salt Bay. They're thinking like, I get this guy, they probably have lookalikes now of him, that come to the table and he throws some salt on it and I get the picture and now I'm the G, right? Like, and I just think that's what it is. It's part of the dining experience. It's more than just the food. It's giving this extra element to it. I mean, who knew this guy owned 13 restaurants before we saw him on Instagram? So
Right.
I think it's cool. I think
I thought
everybody.
I thought the food is dope too.
That's
Well,
what I hear
but
too.
You look like you
But the
enjoy
whole
it.
question of sanitary and all of that stuff, and it's interesting because I hop back and forth on it. I mean, some of the greatest food I've ever had is people touched it. I mean, when you
ever had a pizza?
People touch it.
You see their fingers?
But also
You ain't dying.
cooking is about touching.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of that human quality and energy. Now, I know they're nasty people, clearly.
Right.
And the government is trying to protect us from nasty people. But, they're like, when you go in those kitchens down in the South, and the way we were brought up, people were touching that food. My mother used to, for example, would stir her potato salad with a spoon. But then Miss Hattie over there had her hands in the salad, throwing it up in the air. And Mother, we're not eating that. But I mean,
me.
this is the thing. So I think probably in public situations we have to do this because we cannot rely
Gotcha.
on people to clean themselves.
But we don't know what's going on in the kitchen.
You know, well, there
That's
it
true
is.
too.
No, that's true. That's true fact.
For example, when I traveled to third world countries, it used to be I would only eat hot entrees because, you know, the
Kill the
great
germs.
fear was the salad, you know, and a lot of people, but then they've changed.
You eating with your hands now? or-
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do. I love eating salads, lettuce, you know, with my hand. That's a big thing, you know, because that was nice, nasty. And
Would you guys-
if you're from the South, you know what nice, nasty means.
Would you guys date someone who couldn't cook?
I mean, most
course.
women that I date, or my wife, she doesn't cook now because she says it's
She don't have
embarrassed.
to.
Well, she says she doesn't have to, but they're embarrassed to cook. I'm always like, you got a one pot wonder that you could hit me off with. Like, I don't have to cook all the time. And
Lemon
girls I
chicken.
dated in the past, they really never really cook. So, I'm on this. They've made that assumption where I'll take your meal anytime.
Right. Like, look, I'm with you. I don't have to cook ever again.
Well, nobody wants to see anybody butcher good food now. Come
I
on.
know.
We just talked about how expensive it was. So if you can't cook, get away from the food.
Now, what's your favorite thing to cook? Both of you. What's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing to cook?
I mean, over time, I would say my favorite. Well, I have two favorite dishes. I love cooking my grandmother's asopal dish that I grew up with, and I love making oxtails. Like oxtails for me is just a thing. It's like the one piece of meat that nobody truly understands that I could get you to understand. In the book, I do oxtail dumplings or oxtails with tamarind barbecue sauce. But it's like I look at it like it's the short rib of our culture, or it's the ribs of our culture. You could keep it on the bone and pick it up.
So
So
you from Queens and Brooklyn, you ate that in every Jamaican spot. It was oxtail.
right.
Definitely. Now, what about you?
Me, oh, wow. Well,
Come on, you know.
Well, no, that's my favorite dish. That's not what you asked me. You asked me what I love cooking. I like to walk into a kitchen and see what I have to work with, and get the pan on the stove and just start moving and grooving, snatching from here, snatching from there. I love one dish meals. I love those meals where it's one pot or one pan and everything in it. I love that.
Like a wok.
Yes.
Like
And
a
so
wok.
I love
I've
it.
got
Now I cook with a
vegetables,
wok
I've got-
all the time. That's my specialty.
Right.
I put
But I mean,
everything in there.
exactly.
I put everything in the wok.
So what I like to do in my wok is I like to create what I call a bath. A bath is a flavoring liquid that essentially gets the dish started. So it's got some stock in there. There's garlic, there's ginger, there's lots of aromatics, and then what cooks the fastest?
Right.
And then I throw it in and get that flavor, put it to the side. Then all the vegetables and stuff go into the remaining broth, and we wok it up and we throw it on rice, and we're eating a bowl.
That's a lot. That's easy to clean too, man. Because when I
yeah.
cook, I do breakfast. I'm eggs in one, French toast in another,
This is terrible. We
sausage
don't wanna
in
hear
another,
this.
bacon in another, and then somebody got to clean that stuff.
No, you got to do the one pan wonder. The one pan wonder, man. You
I
got to
can't cook
just throw,
eggs in there and that all that.
You can. You trust me. You can.
You can throw the sausage in one pan,
Absolutely.
pull it out, keep that fat,
Right, non-stick pan.
keep the fat on there.
keep the fat from there, get your eggs scrambling, throw the eggs in that pan. Now you got that sausage fat that's going to give you super good flavor.
right,
Scramble
and it's
that
chicken
up.
sausage, so it's good for you.
All right, chicken sausage. All right.
And then you pull it out, and then the French toast you got to do in another pan. So I'm eliminating one pan.
Or do
for
the
you.
do the French toast in the oven.
In the oven.
Yeah, the Caribbeans, the Martinicans, they do the deep dish French toast. It's awesome.
Really?
Awesome.
All right,
I would try that.
Chef MB gonna try it later.
So the book is Between Harlem and
Oh
Heaven.
yeah, the book.
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about the cookbook, Between Harlem and Heaven.
That's why you're here.
Afro-Asian American
No more
cooking for big nights, weeknights, and every day. As soon as I got the book, I made a couple of things from it. So, like I was telling
What
you
you
guys,
made?
I made the coconut sticky rice.
Yay.
Yeah, because I love coconut. I
I
never
ain't
tried
seen
to
on
make
your
it before.
Instagram.
I don't post everything on Instagram. I really did make it though. I still have a little bit of
What'd you
leftover
serve
at
it
home.
with?
So I made some chicken. I took I put it in my wok because I always use my wok. I
Yeah.
put ginger, garlic, and I put some of the coconut milk inside the chicken. It was really good.
What kind of ginger? Fresh ginger?
No, I
Okay.
used a little
So
can
listen,
of the minced
what you're
ginger.
going to do is you're going to get one of those cheese graters.
Yeah.
And you're going to go to the store and get fresh ginger. And you're going to take that. You don't even have to peel it. You just go vroom, vroom, on the cheese grater. You get those big flakes. You drop it in the pan and get it sizzling. You want fresh ginger.
It's good for you.
I definitely did that because it was easier. I just took a spoon and
That's real easy.
I know, you're right. Okay.
Okay, and then throw your chicken broth in there or something. You've got flavor. You
And
got
I
your
used
bath.
vegetable. I used
then
the
you have your
vegetable
bath.
broth. Yeah. I did my bath.
Yes.
Well,
I know
that's
what it
good.
was
You
called.
made the coconut sticky rice. You're making me excited now. Like you cooked.
Yeah,
from
no, the
book.
first thing I did, because I was like, oh, this book is limited. And I flipped through the whole thing. I looked at the different sauces, and you guys even have drink recipes in there.
Peanut punch.
Which I always appreciate.
we all appreciate that.
My goodness. Well, tell them where they could get this book And where can they see you guys cook? 'Cause
And you guys
I'm
are actually
hungry
going to
now.
come back with some more food for us when Charlemagne's here, too, because I know you guys had that South Carolina connection.
You know, Charlemagne should be ashamed of himself not here. I'm here, Charlemagne.
And when are you guys going to do the restaurant in Brooklyn, too? I mean,
exactly.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn is between Harlem and heaven.
It is. It is truly between Harlem and
I
Harlem.
don't know if Brooklyn's in between Harlem and
I
Harlem.
mean, you could catch us.
I'd make a left, I'd go through Queens. I wouldn't go through Brooklyn now.
I mean, you could catch us. You could catch me in February. I will be in New York signing some books. 92Y, Twitter. You could catch me down in South Beach on February 24th. I'm throwing a pool party at the Versace Mansion. I'll be signing some books. So
Isn't
if you're
that
around,
like the Food and Wine?
Food and Wine Festival,
Yeah,
So I'm hosting
I
a
know
party
because
for that.
I'm actually going to Miami, and I was like, why are the rooms so expensive?
For that weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, so you should come to the pool party.
Yeah, I didn't even know. And they were like, oh, it's the Food and Wine Festival.
All right, so we're gonna connect.
All
I
right,
got
good.
you.
As long as it's food.
But definitely
Plenty of food.
come definitely come tomorrow night at the 92nd Street Y.
Okay.
We'll be carrying on there, signing books and talking about the book.
All right, perfect.
thank you guys
this is
for joining
delicious.
us.
Is this in the book, this recipe?
Yes, cinnamon
Yes.
scented guinea hen.
I know you guys had, is this the oven fried?
No,
I know
this
you
is
guys had
real
an oven
fried.
fried recipe. No?
Maybe.
How many pieces left? I'm on another piece. Right.
Nope.
There's more.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys for joining. I'm
Thank you.
going to go have another piece of chicken. It's the-
Everybody's hanging around because they want some. They're
That's
waiting
right.
for the interview to end.
Yeah, they said, hurry up and move. All right. Well, thank you again. It's Chefs J.J. Johnson and Alexander Smalls. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Thank you.